you got to start recording,
Wait,
Paul.
do y'all have the address for
We're
this
going
thing later?
Well,
Yes.
but let's not say it on air because we're
I'm not
recording.
going to say it on air. Can someone just put it in the group thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
Are
we recording? Did we
yeah,
start?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's up, guys?
We're very organized.
Hey.
I love it loosey goosey. You know, like I want him to start recording before we even know he's recording. I want to give our listeners something raw, like
I
you know,
want my
pre-show.
shit talking out there. I want all my bridges to be burned.
Yeah, well, we can arrange for this.
I know. It's really
for
easy.
those-
Just go to my Instagram story.
For those joining for the first time, this is Facial Recognition Comedy Podcast. Or this is the Facial Recognition Comedy Podcast.
If we just
want to
make it longer,
It's fine.
the
Zara.
name's not long enough.
Pallavi.
I'm Fizza, and we have a special guest coming in studio who you'll find out very soon. Actually, when this comes out, it's going to be in the title. So, yeah. Rami Malek.
One day, Rami, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. But this guy, I feel, is like climbing
way.
up there. He's equally on the way to here.
Oh,
but
he's on
also
his way, man.
on the way up.
He is a superstar. Aristotle is. I love that guy. He's good people.
He's kind of been a
great.
superstar in my dreams for
Like,
a while.
whose kindness matches their supreme talent. You know, like it's just that guy.
I think Aristotle might. Oh well, now we've
Now we're just toasting him.
revealed who it is.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be when people
Okay.
download it. It's
Okay.
gonna be like whatever the title with
Some
Aristotle.
of our audience can't read. Fizza.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
We
A lot
have
of them cannot
Dumb
read.
fans, but they're good people.
We need downloads.
Oh, speaking of fans and downloads, I recently started looking at all my Instagram numbers,
Yeah,
and my
Men or women?
followers are 70% males.
Yep.
that's
There
Instagram.
are a lot of males on it.
Way to be supportive, women. Like
No,
what?
Don't get mad at the women.
No,
These
no,
are the men thirsting. They're
No,
just pushing over.
But the thing is, no matter, because I publicly am a man hater. Like, no matter how much,
we all do. They
now,
like it.
no matter how much man hating I do,
I don't hate men. Don't pull me into
Women,
this men hate.
but women
mean,
will
sometimes,
this
but-
is just proof. No matter how much man hating you do, women will always hate you more. You
Why?
know,
Why do you think it's women hating you more? I think it's
No,
dudes
it's just-
being thirsty. Like men
Well, yes.
follow women. And
Oh,
and
hot
just
take.
But
vibe.
I don't. But
Come
I
on,
don't.
Aristotle. We started, but come on. We already said that we're having a
Aristotle's
special guest.
We did. Welcome.
Welcome.
You look. Are you
Aristotle
ready?
Athiras
Are
in
you
the
prepared?
You got a hot mic
building.
right in front of you. Yeah. Are you okay? Do you need a second to situate? We can just
You're our
chat amongst
first
ourselves.
Return guest.
Let me take a minute.
Yeah.
You're
Oh
our
my
first
God.
return
Okay.
guest.
I wasn't ready for no glasses, Aristotle. This is.
I got my glasses in
But
here.
your eyes are so much dreamier, without
She was
the
just
glasses.
talking
I'm
about
sorry.
seeing you in her dreams. So.
No, we were talking about how you're a rising star.
Yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, he's been a rising star in my
So
dreams for a
rising,
while.
so rising.
Here, I'll
You
get-
are.
I'll get my
You
inhaler
have
out of your
your
way.
own chair designed for you.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
So those who don't know, Aristotle played Gabe in the
Gabe.
last season of Silicon Valley.
So
Is
annoying.
this better? Do you like this? This is better.
I mean, either one.
We are taping, so maybe without glasses.
I
we-
mean, now you're
Okay,
just
and then-
whatever-
and then
how are you feel
Zara's like,
comfortable?
take your shirt off.
you veiled. Why have you veiled your eyes? I don't.
I've been veiling my eyes forever.
to me, your comfort is the most important thing.
I think so too. I think comfort is really important. I think comfort's great. Yeah.
How
Our
are
hands
you?
look
Doing-
comfy.
Are you okay? How are you
I'm
feeling?
so tired. I'm
little
so
out
sorry.
of it.
This traffic. I don't know. For some reason, traffic makes me tired. Does it make you tired?
Yeah.
Traffic make
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
tired?
Yeah.
it's tedious.
This is,
tedious.
I'm
It's
always
like-
exhausted.
Yes.
I'm always exhausted.
It's something very, and I don't
Yeah.
sleep very well at night. So I feel like if I could just replicate what I go through when I'm in bumper to bumper traffic at night, then I think I'd sleep a lot
It's
better.
like when parents drive their babies around in the back seat to get them to fall asleep. You
Yeah.
need that.
Oh, I didn't know parents do that.
Yeah. They
I
do
didn't.
that.
I didn't know that
That's the thing
either.
I don't
put
think you
their
know. I think maybe it's your parents. did
No,
that too.
it's on it's in TV and movies.
Did they just put the car in neutral, put you in the car, and just?
And then have the dog
Shove it
drive.
out.
They're like, keep your paw down. This bitch
No.
will fall asleep.
I'm with Pallavi on this one. It's a motion thing. They sense
Yeah.
it kind of reminds them of being in the
Maybe.
womb and the movement.
I've been
Okay.
getting.
Yeah.
I've been getting car sick
Oh yeah, car sick
recently.
too.
I never
Oh.
used to get car sick.
Can I please suggest C-bands? I
What's that?
swear by this.
C-bands?
So
So
she's given.
I swear, and
C-bands
I've
to me before.
so many people have started using them and sworn by them. But there's an acupressure spot about 3 fingers, or let's say 3 inches between the base of your wrist and above towards your arm.
Mhm.
So it's just a wristband that puts pressure on that one spot.
There's like a button on it. like a.
It's just a
like
piece of
wristband or
plastic
something?
that-
and you won't throw up if you just push.
I was on. Look, I'm very motion sensitive, and I was on like a boat, and everyone threw up on the boat except me.
She's like a T-Rex.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
motion sensitive.
It helped. I've used it. It's good. Try it.
Like
Jurassic Park reference because you can see the people moving when they move.
she's explaining the.
It's getting too sciencey.
I don't know what. No,
She's
it's
like,
not.
I
I
don't
want to.
get
I want to
it.
understand though. I want to
Science.
understand.
Have you seen the movie Jurassic Park?
It's been a long time.
Okay, well, when they move, those
Yeah.
dinosaurs sees them, and then they hold
Oh,
still.
motion.
How
You
is that
guys-
science?
Motion.
Sorry.
But you guys missed
motion
Aristotle.
sensor, motion
What
sensitive.
did Aristotle
You missed
do?
his like visual joke with the
What did
T-Rex
Aristotle
hands.
do?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's like
I
I
go,
don't
That's
get.
fine.
I don't get it.
But I'm glad you said it because now our listeners haven't missed the visual.
Go watch
joke.
it on YouTube. You guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
How wide is this camera? It's such a small, tiny camera.
It gets all of us. All of us are in there.
Tell me when I'm out of camera.
You're gonna have to move your chair back.
Really?
Wow.
Holy shit.
This is coming from a director. You just put your director hat on.
Yeah, I did. I said, "What's my framing? What do we got here?"
Okay, so for our listeners,
All
Aristotle,
Oh,
physical
wow.
jokes.
you're an actor, director, comedian,
Yes.
writer. Which hat do you love wearing the most?
God, I feel like if I'm really honest, I might quit all of them. I love because I really love to cook. That's what
Me too.
I love cooking.
Oh my god, I've been saying this for like months now.
I
Like,
do.
I should just leave it all behind and
I-
just make muffins.
You
I
too.
love cooking.
Kiss.
Make out.
I wore red lipstick
I
on
do that to so
purpose,
many
so I
people.
don't kiss anyone
Yeah,
today on this.
yes. Nobody's getting in trouble tonight.
Well, a bitch just wore chapstick, so who's fucking? Anybody?
I guess
What is-
Nobody?
what is
Why
this?
does this
What is
happen
this?
all the time?
So this is chapstick. This is a vape pen, and this is an
Ah.
inhaler.
Doesn't the vape pen kind of
was a
negate
cup.
the inhaler?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
is this weed?
Throw them both
Sorry.
out.
Gotcha.
It's a 1-1, so it's THC
Oh.
to equal ratio to
Oh, nice.
CBD. And
Hmm,
yeah, I
I
mean the
have this
reason
one.
I have the inhaler is because
Because of the vape.
yeah. Well, I mean, what came first? Was I asthmatic first?
Chicken.
were you?
Or
eggs.
Yeah.
vape pens.
Were you a
Weren't
pot?
did
Were you
get
a
asthma when you were
smoker
kid?
first?
Vape pens haven't been around that long.
Yeah, yeah. I
She's
mean,
really
it's.
Yeah,
She's
she's 3 years old.
Yeah.
I'm a baby.
I love
baby.
I love acting a lot actually too. Sorry if that was a weird segue.
No.
No, I mean you were
I feel
answering
like
the question. I
we
did
were
ask
waiting
you a
with
question
bated
like
breath.
an hour ago.
I like acting. Directing.
I feel like you're known for directing because you're so good at it.
Oh, thank you. I also put a lot of stock into it. I kind of there's an old adage of and I think I may have brought it up in the last show maybe, but you know how like have you heard the question is if you have, let's say, 3 or 4 wolves inside of a house,
Dope.
which one and you don't and you leave them to their own devices, which one survives? If one represents each thing that you do, if one represents, let's say, your acting, one represents your directing, one represents your stand-up comedy, one represents your cooking.
Where can you put your? What do you prioritize? What brings the most?
Close, but which one of those wolves will survive?
Okay.
And the answer is whichever one you feed. So I've been feeding the director wolf for so long that that's the reason why I'm more known for that. I mean, some of the comics that I've known for a long time, they know me as a comic because a lot of them I started out with. But yeah, the directing kind of took off, and money is nice, and so
Money is always
I
nice.
just know you as Gabe.
yeah.
Gabe.
Now people know
Now
me as
you're
Gabe.
only
Gabe
Gabe
from
to
Silicon
me.
Valley.
You're very annoying.
What was
It's funny.
what was that experience like working on Silicon Valley?
Yeah, right next to Kamel's body.
with Kumail's
funny.
character
Right next
like
to those
hating
abs.
Could you
He-
handle
Did you
it?
try to brush up against him?
I've been working out
Did you
with his
melt
trainer.
a little bit?
you.
You
have?
have?
I have been. Yeah.
Oh shit!
What? Are you going to be revealing your
Remember
abs
earlier
soon
when I
Maybe.
said
too?
he has to take a shirt off?
Yeah.
Okay, let us be the judge of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Not him.
Get out of here, Paul.
No, I met his trainer. Camille was telling me about his trainer. Finally, I was like, all right, I'll go meet him. And then
Wait, was he trying to get you to go with his trainer?
no, he was just
Like, come
he,
on, bro.
He was showing me all his progress, and I was just like blown away. And that's the one thing that we talked a lot about it because I was kind of really into fitness back in the day, and so
Well, because you also had a lot of scenes together, right? So
we did.
That was the main
Yeah.
relationship with your
Yes.
character was him.
And it was kind of there were a few things that we didn't really I feel like there were a lot of things that were kind of left on the table because his schedule on this Marvel movie was kind of crazy, so he kept kind of flying back and forth. But yeah, I mean, nobody on that show everybody was so nice. Nobody was mean. There was no what's the word I'm looking for? There were no attitudes, no
Yeah.
prima donnas.
And
Everybody was
Helen
like,
Hong was playing the HR.
that was one of the
good.
one of the
I love
the
her.
most pleasant surprises I had because like you're on the set, you're just like, I don't know anybody, like who,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Helen's there, is like Helen, and she's there for like she's
so good the whole
yeah, she's
season.
great.
Yeah,
she's great.
you
She's
were
such a
there
sweet
for
person.
most of the season as well.
Yeah.
so
I was there too, but there was a moment where I was
Yeah.
like, because I think my character was only, I think it was only for just that one episode, and then and I remember Helen was there, and I was like, how do you know if you're gonna get
Yeah.
if you're in the whole season? She's like, I don't know. She was on the schedule for like 2 or 3 more episodes, and I was like, so they had the first 2 or 3 episodes written when we were shooting the first episode. So I was like, well, I guess I'm not in that. This is a one-off. And so I just kind of did what I wanted to do with
Yeah.
the character.
That's fun.
Yeah. And then, sorry, I'm so dry. Do you guys have any water? It's okay.
Yeah, I'll get you
get
some
you
water.
water.
No, I'll grab it.
Yeah.
I'll grab it.
You know what? Let's all leave. Let's all leave.
Let's just leave the podcast.
Sorry, I keep having like some.
I refuse to move.
Yeah.
I have
In fact,
this,
I'm
which
gonna
is like
drink my water
7
in
to
front
1,
of you.
Oh, 7 to 1?
or 1 to 7.
It's CBD.
More CBD than
Yeah.
THC. I'm sorry.
Can I see that?
I didn't make her go get water for me. That sounds. I don't want to get.
I don't know if you missed it, but
This
he
is
snapped
great.
at her.
This Sunday Goods
Yes.
brand is
Thank you so
amazing.
much.
Spark.
Thank you, Zara. Thank you so much.
Spark is. I get soothed because I need something to.
Does that work?
Yeah. I love it's. It's a 1-1 as well.
Wait, sponsor us. Wait,
Yeah,
is there-
sponsor.
We keep dropping
keep
like
doing that. We keep dropping
C-bands.
Is that
names
another?
and then
I
being
do
like,
swear
This
by
is mine, this is
C-bands.
mine.
though.
that's your vape pen.
It's not hers.
Oh, okay.
Even though
Like,
it kind of has like a feminine kind of looks like a lipstick or something. I don't know, right? Is lipstick
it's
that
sleek.
size?
It's very
like
sleek
Bic
looking.
pens for women.
It's
Yeah.
like a long, elegant
It
cigarette.
It's
also
like-
it looks like something a
Dear
tech nerd would
diary.
have.
Dear diary.
It's like if
Yeah.
Lucille Ball vaped.
Yeah.
Those long ones.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. So what are we talking about?
It doesn't
Um,
matter. We can switch.
That chair that you
Thirst.
have.
Oh yes.
What was that thing called?
The wearable chair.
The wearable chair. Where did this come from, and how much fun did you
I
have with
liked
that
the,
thing?
the engineering of it.
I
It
loved
was
it.
cool.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a real thing. I remember when I first read the script for the audition, I was like, wearable chair. In my mind, I thought it was like a blow-up chair. I didn't really think it was. And then I Googled it. And I was like, I wonder if this thing exists. And then I saw that thing, which is what I ended up wearing. But I didn't know if that was going to be it. And I was like, I don't know. Am I going to be really wearing that? And then when I went in for the wardrobe thing, and then I met the prop master, and they slapped it on. I was like, I guess I am. So I kind of had like a good few hours practicing, trying to figure out how to sit in it.
I loved
then-
how calm you were because you would just be like, okay, and then just sit, like relax into it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so good.
Because I practiced a lot in that chair. It's not an easy chair to learn the
Manipulate.
mechanism of, but once you do, it's actually kind of simple.
We
So-
go to his house. They're only wearable chairs.
Yeah.
He's like, put one on when you come in.
Yeah. Shoes off.
Shoes off and then wearable
Yeah,
chair.
wearable chair.
Did you get to keep it? Please tell me you kept it.
You know what? It's so funny. People keep asking me if I should have. I kept other things. I should have asked for that. Because what the fuck are they going to do with that thing? I should have
Yeah,
kept it.
I mean it's over now.
I know. I should have kept it.
sometimes I got these pants from a shoot.
Yeah, I do that a lot. Like, I'll just say,
You just
hey,
have to ask,
this is
yeah.
great. I always say sorry.
Oh, no worries.
I always say,
So I drank
how
all
much,
of it first.
how much money can I, what?
That's why I drank all of it. I
'Cause
anticipated
you
it
just
being
knew
knocked
that I was
over.
going to, because I'm just a clumsy fucking guy.
No, I mean, you asked how much space you have.
Yeah,
there's,
it's
there's,
true.
There's some physical aspects
yeah.
to what you're bringing
It's true.
to the podcast that
Well, I'm glad you
To
anticipated
make people
that
watch
because
the
that
YouTube.
would have been.
I view you more as a clown than a director.
Thank
or-
you. Thank you. First, she was like, I see you more as a director. I was like, I see you more as
now
a-
I'm like, you're really
Yeah,
feeding
yeah.
the clown
There's
wolf.
a lot of physical comedy going on. You're
Oh
gonna
my
start
God.
pantomiming or remiming now? Is that what's
Well, that was
happening?
magic. I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah,
I
that
could-
one
I
was
could-
clearly magic.
See if you like take this.
Do that, and then just- Whoa,
Whoa.
that is pretty
This is
cool.
on the ground.
He actually did a magic trick.
Yeah.
That's where most garbage comes from. Is magicians.
magicians.
People don't want to talk about it, but they're ruining this earth.
So like one
That's
of us
funny.
probably has to pick that up later.
Magicians
Have
and
you
all
seen
their
magicians
littering.
do this and then cut?
Where
to,
does
like,
all the trash go?
Where does all the trash
Al
go?
Gore
Yeah,
steps
yeah.
out. We need
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, that's a really
to be
good
a
sketch.
magician band.
I will
Okay.
collaborate on this sketch
Yeah,
with you.
that's hilarious. That's so funny.
Director.
So like what's your day? How's your day been going today? You said like you were in traffic for
I
was
had-
in you were in traffic?
Yeah, I was in traffic.
I
I auditioned
Auditioned,
today.
traffic.
Yeah, you auditioned. I did too.
How did your audition go? How do you feel about
Ooh,
it?
where was your
It's funny. It's like I don't like going on tape. I like in person. I like in the room.
Yeah, me too.
But I've been getting like recently like the scripts I've been getting are just
a lot of self tapes?
well no just a lot of dialogue. I'm like holy shit, like a lot.
Because you're acting.
That's good.
I know it's
You
good,
have
but it's just a lot of
marriage story status.
I
That
know.
is you. You're
A-
gonna break up with Adam Driver any minute.
I like Adam Driver actually quite a bit.
I do too.
Right?
He's wonderful.
He's kind of interesting. There's
very
some
charismatic.
there's some pockets to his acting that I'm just not really. I'm like I don't know, but other stuff he's very present. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's easy to get hooked to any of his characters
Yes,
because
yes.
he's so present. Like
Right,
you
right.
feel like you're on the journey with him.
So true.
He's tall.
Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Is that your
Yeah.
thing? What'd you bring?
I
What'd you
just
look at
said
her?
he's tall.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
That's just a positive overall.
that he's tall.
Well,
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
like that. I think that his presence on screen is even.
Why'd you bring
Yes.
up Adam Driver? Do you have a crush on Adam
No, I
Driver?
Well,
brought
she
it-
Or
brought
you
him up.
Oh,
I was
okay.
talking about how he's.
You
the
think he just brought him
ScarJo
up
of this
randomly?
room.
What am I?
Listen, my references are very
I-
vital to this
They're,
podcast.
Okay.
they're poignant. They're poignant.
I didn't watch Marriage Story.
I haven't
Should
seen
I?
it either.
You should. If you never plan on getting married, you should absolutely
Which is
watch
why I
it.
watched it immediately.
What happens?
Just don't watch it if you're like in a relationship.
I don't know if that's a good
Oh.
idea. If you're in a
I don't know
relationship to
anything
watch,
about
this
because I
movie,
saw a
but-
little bit of it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of close to home.
Yeah, like anyone who's in a relationship or like going through a breakup or a divorce.
Yeah.
Did you watch?
Yeah.
Did you watch Marriage Story?
Paul,
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 have you seen
Paul,
Marriage
we're
Story?
bringing
Paul-
you into the podcast.
Yes,
Do you have
come
a-
You haven't
on,
seen it?
fun.
Shout out to
No?
our audio engineer, Paul.
Why not?
He hasn't
you-
seen.
All right, this guy's not.
So wait, you're in a relationship and
I
you
am,
watch
yes,
parts
yes,
of
yes.
it.
And you're like,
I watched parts of it on my own, not with her. But there's a lot
that's
of.
where it starts to fall apart.
I know, right? When I start watching things on my own,
Wild.
I know.
I wouldn't recommend watching that movie as a couple. Like that's not a
No,
date
I
night
don't-
movie
I don't
at
think-
all.
I feel like you
No.
should do that and then Midsummer and then
yeah. Great
and
playlist.
then if
Midsummer.
interracial, Get Out. I don't know.
Get it?
Uh,
Oh my God.
Yeah, Fatal Attraction. Maybe another good
Do
one.
all of them.
That's a good one.
What can your
Unfaithful.
relationship withstand?
Yeah.
That's how you should feel about your relationship
Absolutely
every
not.
day. You should say,
No.
what challenges can I
Yes.
throw at
No.
Like an American Gladiator.
How do I-
Shield,
course.
shield your
on.
relationship. Don't listen to Paul Levy.
American
it?
Ninja.
What? Why wouldn't you
for-
listen to me and how single I am?
Exactly.
She's like, what do you mean? I
Man,
have
keep
great selections of
unmatching
movies.
me. Okay.
Guys come like, so what are you watching? I got the greatest movies for you. Marriage Story.
Marriage Story.
Sorry, I didn't mean
That
to
is
make
how
you
I
sound
sound.
like
That is how.
it's
That is how I sound.
It's not.
Stop it.
So how are the auditions going? Is everyone expecting you to bring Gabe now? Because I mean, Silicon Valley is such
Did
a
you
huge
Wow.
show.
That's why you should have
Right?
kept the wearable chair.
Like nobody nobody's ever known who I was. I'm not saying anybody knows now, but it's I've been recognized randomly for being Gabe, and I think that's kind of because I remember like back in the day, Fahim Anwar, for those of you guys who don't know, he did an episode of Chuck, and I remember like right after
shit.
that episode, we were at the Century City Mall the next day, and some guy was like, "I saw you on Chuck. Oh, can I get a picture with you?" And in my mind, I was like, I wonder what that's like. That's kind of
That's
interesting.
how I remember Fahim
Yeah.
from Chuck.
remember-
Because
From Chuck?
I was a big Zachary Levi fan,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm like,
Same.
oh, that's the dude. And then just became a fan of Fahim.
I
for
remember him
comment.
from the Das Racist music video.
Oh,
like
yeah.
my
And-
friends and I watched it over and over and over.
You
and we're
directed
like, what's
that,
I did,
right?
yeah.
We were like, "What's Goatface?" This is way before I did comedy. Just all of my friends, like in college, like all my college friends, would just watch it over and over again. It was
That was a
amazing.
really fun.
It
That
was
was a
so
fun music
good.
video.
But you guys, you and the Goatface guys, you guys created like a bunch of viral videos that like
We did, yeah.
bunch of brown
there's-
kids
there's
just
a
like
handful.
loved. Yeah, it was
That's-
definitely.
That's so nice to hear because sometimes you feel like you make it and you send it out into the ether and then nobody ever sees it. And then I've never heard, nobody in person's ever brought up anything, but I get a ton of, I get emails and messages randomly. It's funny, like sometimes I'll get like a message from like a 14-year-old brown boy. He's like hustling. He's like, yeah, I got this idea for you. I want to pitch this to
That's
you.
dope.
It's cute, and I'm just like, hey, let's.
And then you steal it. And
I
profit
steal
off
it. Yeah. And so far,
You're like,
I've
it's an SNL
yeah.
packet. It's my idea now.
I've made quite, well, that Goatface started from a 14-year-old idea.
Yeah.
He
That's awesome.
shall remain nameless. That kid.
Can I ask a controversial question that has been asked on this last
Yeah,
episode
why
of
not?
the podcast? So I wasn't there for this conversation, but you
Yeah.
brought it up about how like brown men are like popping off now, like in comedy and in entertainment. Like there's this surge of like people like rising.
Mhm.
What do you think the responsibility is of brown men to bring brown women along on that journey?
I think brown women are definitely on their way. I haven't really been seeing a lot of brown men popping off more so than I have. It kind of seems like, and it's an unfortunate circumstance that the industry kind of has like a diversity flavor of the year
Yeah.
instead of just kind of like going all around. Like right
Yeah.
now, I'm noticing it's more Asian.
East Asian.
Yeah.
Hey, Parasite won last night.
Parasite
in the,
won
at the
last night.
Oscars.
I thought that was a huge. That was
I
a
mean,
huge.
that's
That seemed
great.
like
It was
such a beautiful
fantastic.
moment.
Yeah.
But
My
Um,
landlord was pissed about
but
that. He's
also-
Russian, so
Oh,
really?
yeah. He's like,
Was
that's,
there a Russian nominee? No.
no. He just thinks it should have been an American movie.
he's just anti. Okay.
A
I don't
Russian
know.
who's
He's meddling.
pro-American. That's so
Yep.
weird.
That's how strange America is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, everyone's always rooting for the establishment for some reason. Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
wait, so
I feel like it's
So-
been a push since Crazy Rich Asians
Yes.
and now Parasite.
Yes.
And I feel like Lunar New Year, at least in LA, has been like it's bigger and badder than it ever was before, which I love.
Right.
But I do feel like different flavors.
Yeah.
They're
throughout
having
time.
that demographic's having a moment, so to speak.
Sure.
in
The,
this
the,
room.
I think if I'm kind of like being more technical about it, I think I don't have like the trajectory of how it typically works, or it's kind of a a million ways to skin a cat kind of scenario. But the
so graphic.
right,
Yeah.
skinning a cat,
Yeah.
So many
Depends on how you do it.
analogies
Yeah.
or
Depends on how you do it.
idioms, like hurting two
bleed
birds,
them
one
out, they're fine.
stone.
What?
Two birds, one stone. Just a lot of violence towards animals and these old.
Two birds, one
Tina
stone,
had that
skinning a
thing
cat,
Yeah.
Where they're like
easy as
replacing
cutting a
two
decapitating dogs.
birds,
You've heard
one
that,
I didn't know.
stone is what
Yeah,
they
that's
said.
not a
or something
thing.
like that.
That's a thing.
Stop
Okay,
it.
I was thinking of like
Yeah.
there has to be some way to replace.
There's a PETA chart.
I love how we're having
Scone.
and
Yeah.
then they're going.
You're gonna put on your left ear for the conversation Fitz and I are having, and put on the right
This
ear.
is our podcast.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you
usually.
can do that, right?
It's me
Okay, great.
connecting across the aisle.
That's so funny.
Anyway.
Only politically.
Yeah.
I think to move that needle that you're talking about, I think it comes down to really kind of creating the content to kind of get that wheel moving, kind of perpetuate it forward. But also, sometimes it's, sometimes Hollywood acts politically,
Yeah.
which I don't think is like, it helps. Look, I mean, the pendulum always, it corrects and then overcorrects.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really just stop in the middle, right? So I think like, there's a lot of potential ways of moving that needle that you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a very intellectual way of saying that you're not going to cast us. So.
I would cast y'all
Thank
in
you
a
for
heartbeat.
building
In a
it.
heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is we're looking at representation and platforms that are run by like, the white dudes. So if, you
The-
build platforms from, like
Mhm.
But
like
it
you
is-
pop off tomorrow and
Right.
you have an ability to EP stuff. I guess that's what
EP,
We're-
executive
and the-
produced.
yeah.
For
And
our listeners outside of Hollywood.
And then,
EP
then also there's
means
the
extended
thing,
play.
even within, even
like that
within
one.
comedy though, there are shows that are run by male brown comics and shows that are run by female brown comics.
Yeah.
And there's not as much. There is like some like Vic and Meg in Chicago like run stuff together, but it does seem to be like segregated a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen all women shows. I've seen all brown shows. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a different kind of segregation. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I don't remember.
It's
She
'cause
just
of
hit
this
that
thing.
pen. Yeah.
Yeah.
She should just-
I'm just being very present.
Good.
So you know, we went in a different direction, and I went with you.
And I feel like I see your
You wanna skip?
footsteps behind me.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that Jesus?
That's a Jesus
Is
thing.
Jesus?
I like that you looked at me. You're like,
Yeah.
I
don't-
did grow up in Utah, so thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I was just in Utah. Yeah, I was in Utah.
For a gig? Oh, for Sundance. Did you go for
Well, I
Sundance?
was there for
Being-
yeah. Well, I did go there for a show, and then my friend who I was in Silicon Valley with, he had a movie at Sundance, and so I was
it
in
like
the area.
Kumail?
So
Is it Thomas Middleton?
No,
Just
no,
name
it's actually-
names,
Is it
it's
one
actually-
of the stars?
his name is Chris Aquilino. He's actually a good
Oh, I
friend
know
of mine. now.
Chris.
Chris is great.
We shot an episode of How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know Chris. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chris is great. He's actually my new writing partner. We've been writing a feature together.
Oh,
Cool.
cool.
Yeah, I love that
awesome.
guy. He's one of my favorite people.
How important are
pardon?
how
How
I was
is- how-
gonna say
how
partner
important?
important. How important are collaborative partners in this industry? Or how important has it been for you? Because I feel like through Goatface and now this partner, like how many different people have you collaborated with, which you think like really helped you along?
Collaboration, that's a weird. Well, collaboration almost like 8 or 9 out of 10 times ends in fucking flaming failure. So it's true. So it's very different sensibilities coming together,
Yeah.
and you have to early on, at least the way I've.
Basically, you hate people. Is
No,
what
no,
I'm hearing.
I love people. I love
He
people.
hates their work.
No, it's not that. No, it's
He's
not.
always the
It's
one
not
doing
that.
the
It's not
group
that.
project, and no one else
No, no,
brought
no,
their
no.
work, and they're all gonna get A's too.
You did not know me in school. No, I was the other guy.
He's calling out Hassan right now.
No,
He's not denying.
denying what? What'd you say?
I just said you're calling out Hassan right now, and then we just.
Oh, no.
I'm kidding.
Well, I'll tell you. So I'll use Goatface as an example. So like when we first started the group, there was the four of us had kind of a very different approach to things, or had different sensibilities, different ideas as to what we wanted
So
to
you
do.
four, to remind our listeners, so it's Hassan.
Hassan Minaj, Asif
Fahima,
Ali,
yeah.
Fahima Anwar, and myself.
Yeah.
And so just by virtue of the fact that you have all these different opinions and different ideas and sensibilities, really, you're going to clash, period. It's just like a relationship. And
Yeah,
then
but did you fuck after?
we've been fucking.
Okay, good. Well, as
Didn't you
long
see
as
it? It was on
someone's
it was
getting
it was on
Did not
Comedy
see the
Central.
sketch.
It was a
There-
whole hour of fucking.
There was a big bed in one of the sketches. I remember that.
That
Yeah,
was
there
the boy
was.
band one, right?
I don't
It
remember.
was, and that actress was really getting on my nerves.
Oh my god!
Sorry,
Yo, the tea is spilled here.
she's great. She's a nice person, but she was really pissing me off on set because she had her cell phone out.
Oh, you were directing.
I was
as well,
directing,
yeah.
That's annoying.
and so she had her cell phone out. She didn't know I was directing because the showrunner was kind of really calling a lot of shots at the time because I was in makeup. It was hard for me to kind of talk because of mustache and all that, right? Yeah.
So that actually takes a lot of skill to be able to be in front of the camera and direct at the same time.
And
Would
How do you-
never,
how do you manage
never
that?
do that again, huh?
Yeah, how do you even manage that?
It's you really can't. If I didn't have Ted, who was the showrunner, I would have been blind because I didn't really know. I didn't know how things were playing. It's not like, and because of
because you can't be two places at once.
yeah, and
Focused
also
on the
there's
moment, then
so like
Did you do it for the whole show?
no well
that
I mean I was in what 3 sketches?
But I mean, did you direct the whole thing?
Oh yeah, I directed the
Okay.
whole thing.
So that's fuck.
But I mean, I had help by way of Ted Tremper, who was the showrunner on the show. He was kind of like my eyes when I wasn't able to see what was going on, and a lot of that was also a product of the fact that we didn't. So even just to have playback video,
Yeah.
right, just to watch it and right after we shoot it, that cost because that was another union thing and. It just
Oh
would
my
like inflate the
gosh.
budget to, and I
Yeah.
literally would have these conversations with our line producer. She'd be like, "Well, if you want this, then we can't have this," and then so we had to pick and choose. And at the end of the day, I was like, I need the sketch more than I do, or I need some of these elements rather than the playback, because I didn't have playback when I was making any of these sketches back in the day. I
Right.
feel like I can do this again.
And they went viral and they were amazing before you had
So
playback.
amazing. And
They
to think
were.
if I had playback then,
Yeah.
It would have been ruined. You would have redid everything and
well, or it could have
So you have to really
amazing.
trust the. You said it was
Ted.
It was
Ted. Yeah.
Thank
Always
you,
trust
Ted.
in Ted. ATIT.
I guess
Just
Yeah.
the sketches that I was
Yeah.
that I was in, like the the sneaker sketch, the cereal guy sketch, the music video.
The cereal kid. That was
so
good.
fucking weird.
So weird,
There
yeah.
was
it was the weirdest one.
It was weird.
by
Which
far.
one? There was a game show with all the dads.
That was funny as fuck.
Yes, that
you,
too.
You were
I mean,
Baba.
there were times where if the coverage wasn't on me and it was then I
Yeah.
could kind of step away and kind of
Mhm.
watch what's going on, and it is kind of nice directing in the middle of the scene while it's happening, because you're in it with them.
Yeah.
But it's still kind of like like in the music video, like I kind of was like, hey, you should put your phone away. I kept telling her, she's like, who are you? And she's like taking these photos
Oh my
herself.
God.
And I was like, I just please put it away. Like I don't want it to be on camera because it's supposed to be like a period piece.
Yeah.
Right, so if back then in the 90s or whatever, those cell phones didn't exist. I just didn't want it to peek out somewhere. But she was just kind of a goofball.
No,
Whatever.
if you
She's a
ever-
sweet girl. I don't remember.
If
her
you
name,
ever
but-
need a replacement last minute, I am available.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I'll leave my phone.
I'll leave your
wherever.
phone.
He already
Yeah.
established he's never going to cast us in anything.
I never
so-
said
No,
that.
he definitely
just-
said that. That's the title of the episode.
We're not gonna
Aristotle will
cast you.
never cast a brown woman.
I'm the screenplay I'm writing right now is called Brown Women. So
Yeah. With no brown
but
women
it's all
in it.
featuring white
It's
women
all white
with a tan.
no,
white
no,
women-
no,
white women and brown
no,
women.
no.
Really,
It's about
really tan white women.
it's about brown men having to live in brown women's shoes. So yeah, I'm not gonna cast anyone. I don't want to. First of all, that girl that was in the music video, she was really, really sweet. She's afterwards, everything was nice. I don't want anybody to think that I was, no, she was nice. I'm just remembering at that moment. You know what? Scratch
Well,
that.
it's also really tough
she was a nice girl.
It's also really tough to direct and be in something like that.
It
It's
is. It's
just
very,
two
very
different
tough.
jobs
Yeah.
at once, and I mean, you were able to pull it off because you had a lot of support.
I
From,
did. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. There were a few times that.
So it's just like
You
you
know.
did. I don't think you did anything wrong by asking her to put her phone away.
Did the
I know,
guys support
I know.
you? So we
Yeah,
were
of
talking
course.
about,
collaboration.
collaborating to the point of failure, which
we branch off in so many different ways, so much in this
Yeah.
in this show, don't we?
we do.
In this
in,
podcast?
in this
Yeah.
podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
I have ADHD. I don't know what their problem is, but that's just
I think we
I
all
don't
do.
know. Do we,
I'm texting
Should I
that
make a
girl right
list?
now.
Okay. Well, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying that you'll never work in this town again.
Right?
Yeah. No,
But
to you.
how's
Put
she
your
going
phone
to
away.
know that it's from me?
Oh, I took a picture of you while you were looking.
Thank you. Thank you.
he's gonna be a viral meme
I
tomorrow.
took one
God.
with
It's
you
gonna
without your
happen.
glasses earlier,
Good.
just
Yeah,
in
yeah.
case.
You're welcome.
Back to your question. So, like, when we started Goatface, there was a very clear, different approach from everybody. And at first, it was very much like a clash of ideas, like up top.
I feel like we talked about this last time too.
We may have,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
But this was
but-
this was over a year ago, so this is like it's very interesting to circle back to this place, being in a different.
Though this
Oh,
was
we have an
this was in
episode-
2012.
No, but us, our episode.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
yes.
that episode.
We have an
Circling
episode
back.
called
Circle.
Group Therapy Bitches,
Yes.
which is actually one of our top most downloaded
because
episodes.
when
And
you two are arguing, and I'm like, can this stop now?
but I like the idea of several strong minds bringing different things to the table. If you
Sure.
can work together,
Yes.
you
I
have
like
the
bending
advantage.
them to my will because I'm the
Yes.
strongest mind.
Well, see, that's where when someone becomes like Mega Pallavi Zord, then
Mega Pallavi.
Mega Fizzord sounds better. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's Fizzord? That's pretty good.
because it's and anyway.
Can you guys hear my eye rolling? Is
Yeah,
that
we always
happening?
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We heard a deep sigh and we're like, well, she's there.
But there was so we are invested in how you resolve that.
Oh, so
Yeah, we like airing shit out and getting it all out.
we're never
on the
gonna get to
table.
it, but I'll try.
Yeah.
I will try. No, I just early on, I kind of, it was a collective kind of effort too. We just kind of realized what we were all strong at, and then kind of compartmentalizing in a way everybody's like strengths and how they like. Clearly, like after the first 6 months of doing it, Hassan had a very strong point of view about like political things or things that kind of slanted towards like social justice kind of thing in a
Yeah.
way. Fahim was always kind of like, oddball-y kind of long setup to this one beat kind of thing. And then Asif was just always down for the ride. He was just like,
I
yeah,
remember you saying that last
yeah. He was
time.
like, whatever.
Like,
What do you guys want?
Yeah,
And me, I was always kind of a character
He's
guy.
but I feel you and Asif are the character guys, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, Asif's great. It's funny. Like, it's hard being his friend sometimes because he's booking pilots all the time.
He
And
did a Super Bowl commercial with Cardi B.
Yeah.
And he got to say,
yes.
"Oh, grrr."
Yeah.
He's a Cardi
Always.
B.
Yeah.
I was watching a movie, and then
Asif pops
and Asif
up.
pops up as in a Coke commercial. I was like, what the fuck? And then he does a Pepsi commercial the next day. Like, he has no loyalty.
No.
No.
Like,
They
That's a
want him
career
so
I
bad that he
want.
was able
Blowing
to
up your friend right now.
No, they just thought he was a different person.
yeah.
Because
He
normally
We
did
want to
BoJack
cast a guy
recently.
like the Coke commercial. Let's find a brown guy. Asif Ali, great. You look just like that guy.
are they trying to pull the
It's like
thing where the
Sprint.
Verizon
Yeah.
guy to
Oh,
like,
yes,
they
yes,
Maybe.
yes.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
But yeah, he works a lot.
I was watching BoJack and I heard his voice and I was like,
Wait,
"What the fuck?"
is he in BoJack?
He's in BoJack. He's in
He has
a
everything.
significant episode. It was the
Asif
first
Ali is in
episode,
everything.
One of the main characters. I hear that voice and I'm like, Asif.
He's
I
everything.
realized he was making a lot of money when he just started Ubering everywhere. It was like, I was like, even to my house, I was like, we're gonna meet at my house. He's like, all right, I'll see you there. And
Are you
he's
shocked?
like, he's just Ubering
He
there.
looks expensive now.
He's starting to look more expensive.
You know
yes.
what's
He looks
expensive.
great.
We were
Exactly.
all
Yeah.
we were all in
Expensive.
San Francisco. We were all in San Francisco
Yeah.
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was staying in a friend's one-bedroom apartment, like on the couch. And I'm like, "You're Asif Ali. Why are you
I
sleeping on a
know.
friend's couch?" But
It's funny. I mean,
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, I think he's pretty good with his money. Maybe he doesn't
Yeah.
spend too.
Well,
or
that's
maybe,
how you
maybe
stay
maybe he
being
spends
able to
all
take
of it,
numbers.
and that's why he doesn't have anything. in
That's
his-
why he
That's
works
why
so
he's
fucking
on
hard.
the
Asif Ali
couches.
has
It's
a
one of the two.
gambling addiction. We all know it.
Yeah.
Asif.
All I'm back.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh god! I went into an audition with him once, like a
Yeah.
commercial audition, and he booked it. I
Did
didn't.
he really?
But yeah.
He booked your
And
part for
that-
the
He
woman. That's how good he is.
all of
That
them.
happened
So
too with
good.
me. Like
Yeah.
we went up for the same. What's that guy's name? He has like a network now. He started out Barry. What the fuck is his name?
Hater? Bill Hader?
Not Bill Hader. He had a. He had
Dave
a,
Goldwater.
I can't. All right, doesn't matter. Anyways, we were auditioning for the same thing, and then I was like, I auditioned was okay, and he's like, oh yeah, well things happen, and he goes in there, and they're like, hey Asif, and then you could just hear him with like his sonic is like, hey, and then all of a sudden like,
Oh my
I was like,
God.
fuck, he got it, and he booked it later.
That's also like a running joke with like Neil Nanda. It's he'll like go for an audition and I'll be like, how'd it go? And he's like, Asif probably got it. Like,
Is that-
he's like, he just loses. To Asif.
See, that's
I like Neil. I've actually enjoyed watching him grow a lot as
Neil's
a comic.
great.
Yeah.
He's one of my
Wonderful.
closest friends in comedy.
He's funny.
I would
He's
say
great.
that person for me is Kieran. That's why
Deal?
I was just
Kieran
like,
Deal.
please let this shit get renewed so she's not on the market to, and I don't know. We'll see.
Kieran's
Wishing
great.
success on other people so that we can also have a piece of the pie.
Because
Kieran's one of my-
if
one of my
your
friends.
competition
She's
so
moves
great.
up,
She was
then
on
it
our-
creates space for you
Yeah.
to do all the
No,
roles
I
that they
fucking
were.
love Kieran.
Yeah.
She was on our show last night, and then we hung out after.
Oh,
It was
nice.
so fun.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
we'll hang. Like, I think we were hanging out. It's like you'll see your buddy in the lobby, and you'll be hanging out. And she was supposed to go before me, but she came late.
Right.
She was like, "Can you go? I need to work on my lines." And I'm like, "Bitch." And that was
I mean,
She ended up getting it too, but
what is it? What was it?
it was like a pilot that didn't get picked up a couple years ago.
Oh, the
pe-
one that we all
people like
auditioned
that.
for, because
Yeah,
casting
yeah.
came to our show and they're like, "Let's just audition all these girls."
And then Monrock was
she's
pregnant.
Monrock was pregnant, and
What?
this was for like
Monrock's
a 20.
pregnant?
No, she was at the
She
time.
had a baby.
She
So
had a baby.
she has a baby now?
Oh,
Yeah.
he's like 12.
She.
Oh, really?
not.
Wow.
She's
like
two.
She's
But
like
you got
two.
him.
She's
You
two.
got him.
I
yeah.
did for a minute. There was like 12, and I'm counting my years. Going by that fast.
Your eyes go back and forth.
It was it was a very long gestation.
No, but I think they just looked at our flyer because they
Uh-huh.
didn't see that she was pregnant on the show.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "You're pregnant," and she was like, "Yeah, you guys auditioned me."
That's so funny.
This didn't happen
So they were
overnight.
basically caught in their lie because they're like, "Oh, someone from casting came to the show." I'm like, if you came to the show, you would know.
This bitch was
It could've-
fully pregnant.
they
at
She was
the
like
show.
7 months along.
They probably sent an assistant, and they're like, "Here's the flyer of their headshots," and they're like, "Just bring them all in."
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine auditioned for something not that long ago, and then he was like, my audition's pretty good. And then afterwards they go, so where are you from? And then he said where he's from, and he's like, okay, cool. See you at the callback. And that was kind of it, Like when they're trying to hire, like when they're trying to cast diverse, sometimes it's a little more about like this is this is a little bit of the problem. Like I understand, like I appreciate the concerted effort to make it a little bit more diverse, but I feel like sometimes it's I don't know.
It's the implementation is incorrect.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, it's not just checking a box, it's making sure that you're fine. It's like when they put female comics on shows, and then sometimes you're like, why didn't they put someone who barely does comedy on this amazing show when there's so many other great female comics to like, or comics in general, right? It's like you're so foreign to the pool that you're pulling from that you can't even find the talent.
Yeah, they
within it.
don't have the knowledge or the cultural understanding to see how they're fucking up.
But it's like
Right.
literally you have to do the work. You have
Yeah.
to find the people. You have to make friends with the people. You have to like find groups of. You have to educate yourself and find the network.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's just an easy way out for them.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like a lot of work.
I do know that. I mean, look,
But yeah.
I think the diversity initiatives
shift
and the showcases are getting better and better. We're really lucky to be in the time that we're in now.
Did you do CBS Diversity?
I did, yes.
What year? Do you remember?
2010?
Wow, okay,
A
so
long time ago.
I don't remember.
Right, 2 years after Monrock's child was born.
Yes.
But yeah,
3
that
years.
was like, okay, so I'm just
2
going to
years,
say
yeah.
it. My experience doing that program, it was very racist at the time. I heard it's changed a lot.
But things have changed
That's
a
just
lot.
because you kept saying the N-word.
She's like, you don't have any
It
right
was
to say
very
that.
racist, and I can't
Yeah.
believe
It
you
was
let
a
me in
different
here.
time. Different time.
I know that things have changed a lot.
Things have changed a lot.
They've changed a lot now.
They've changed a lot now, but you
Yeah.
look. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things that that the progress is happening. Is it at the speed that we want it? No. Is it at the
But how could it be at the speed we want it at like such a large level? A cultural shift is always going to be
yeah?
gradual
It takes
unless
a
something
while, but I mean,
catastrophic happens.
even for that, I think it's moving kind of fast.
I think it's moving fast, but I think because like there's all this like we need ethnically ambiguous. We need to check off this box and this box. That's why we're seeing all this like
Here's how this will change.
failed execution of it, kind of. You know.
We need to find there needs to be more people of diversity that are in the executive positions,
Right.
and then that's
But
when
that's-
you'll start seeing.
But that's what's
a real
happening,
shift.
right? Like, Issa got a chance. Now she has her own production company. Ava DuVernay has a Ray now. Like, everybody is like getting, like, as they're getting these platforms, a lot of people are like using them.
But
More extended
I mean,
plays.
I mean more on the network side.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like in that executive side
Yeah.
of it. You know, like starting your own production company is like, great, but usually they're going to be focused on their own personal projects, right?
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
There's not a lot of people, I think
Lorne Michaels owns everything.
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the studio execs
Yeah.
and the guys who actually run the programming and make the ultimate final decision, they're just older white males, you know?
Has there
So-
been a brown person, like our type of brown on SNL yet?
Well, Nassim was.
Nassim,
Yeah.
her
She was
brother.
Persian.
Yeah.
Outside of Nassim, no. I don't even think there's
Was
been
that
a male.
big deal? Did anybody ever say like the first like brown person? Do you know what?
Was
you
there
I
know-
a
don't remember
press
it
release?
being like
It wasn't. Yeah.
it wasn't,
wasn't
a
a-
thing back
Well,
then.
fucking good job, Nassim.
Right.
That matters.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's
don't-
amazing.
Yeah.
We should give her
Maybe
a,
like it wasn't. I don't think there was
shout-out.
like a social justice movement around it.
No.
You know,
No.
that there
And-
is now.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of, it just happened to be what it was. I don't really think it was kind of an intentional move to kind of, steer the microscope away from SNL. Be like, hey, we're good. I think they just cast her because they liked what she was doing, and
She was very talented, and
Yeah.
she does a great Kardashian impression.
it's funny, like,
and
'cause
that was the time where they needed a Kim Kardashian impression.
for the longest time, I was like, I don't think I'd ever heard Kim Kardashian speak. I had heard
You just watched
Nassim's,
the sex tape.
yeah, where she doesn't talk at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
She
we
does
like
a
it.
little bit. There's some sounds being made, okay? Which is basically how she talks anyway.
Well, now, I mean, I hear her talk because the first time I heard her speak was after hearing Nassim's impression of her. I never heard.
Oh, interesting.
That was the first. I first heard Nassim's impression of her. Then I heard, and I always thought, is that even like accurate?
like,
and then when I finally heard it, I was like, oh wow,
It
that's
really is.
That's like
it's really
Jared
accurate.
Kushner. Like no one heard him
Uh-huh.
talk for a really long time.
right.
And I think they did the impression before people
Right,
really
right.
knew what he sounded like.
Yeah, they were taking a picture,
Pause
guys.
for
Sorry.
pictures.
Pause
Can
for
you can we just okay, anyway.
Yeah, you got to give us a warning,
Yeah.
dude.
Well, I
Candid.
see it.
Where's
and
Ted? Ted.
What are y'all working on?
we have a monthly show in New York now.
Oh, that's great. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's producing that there?
We have a on-the-ground producer. Her name is Zen. She's not a comic. She's amazing.
Great.
Zen
She's
Dot.
great. She's wonderful.
She
But
teaches
we've
about
been going out there a lot. We were going out there almost every month.
Yeah.
Just to
But-
sort of set it up, and
Yeah.
it's
love
in a
New
place
York.
where it's running itself at this
Uh-huh.
point with Zen. So
Oh, nice.
Zen, yeah, just have someone on the ground. That's the thing is, I don't like producing the day of performing. Like if
Yeah, I
I'm
don't either.
so that's why I think it's incredible that you were able to act and direct yourself because I don't even like.
There's
you know,
also you have the luxury of multiple takes. So
yeah.
there are some takes that you will never see.
It's just difficult to
not good.
have. It's just two different mindsets, skill
Mhm.
sets. So
Yeah,
It's,
yeah,
like-
yeah.
it's
hard for
different
me to
parts of your
integrate.
brain.
Yeah, and it's so
right?
it's very
Science person.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
technical.
Like
Okay.
I know.
It's,
I-
there's a front part and the back part.
I thought
Right.
it was the right part and the
aren't there
left part.
signs?
The right and left thing.
I know
Yeah,
that
actually,
my
okay.
legitimate.
I know that my
Oh.
directing side, my directing part is kind of like here.
That little piece.
Well, it's right there,
Occipital lobe.
and then my comedy piece is here.
Yeah.
Ox is the
Yeah.
I, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's.
So are
I
you
know
able
the
to
prefix.
are you able to pinpoint like what you have a headache with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like Fahim.
gotta feed
This-
that wolf.
This one's like yeah. They're all wolves. Yeah.
So Fahim is like gives your director part of your brain a headache.
I probably
How do they take directing? I wanted to know that.
Yeah.
Like,
How do
on
your
set.
friends take your direction when you're
They're
directing
like, we'll
them?
put our phones away when we want to put our phones away.
I always say that it's really hard to direct. I'm not saying that Asif is not. Asif is a very good stand-up. He's also a very good actor. I think he's an excellent actor who knows how to perform stand-up. Because there's a difference between, just in my experience, directing a stand-up comic and an actor. Because usually, like a stand-up comic, they have all this data, right? They have all this information of what's funny to them or what makes them funny. They're on stage all the time. They cultivate jokes and write this material based on certain elements, related to the personality, and so then they know what's funny about them. So to tell somebody, hey, try it this way, they're going to be more like, well, I'm going to do it this way because I know that this is funny the way I do it.
It's a less collaborative medium as well. So
Little
if you
bit.
don't
So
have-
you're saying
It's a different kind of collaboration.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
are you
but
saying stand-ups are harder to direct?
they're different to direct. You know,
Okay.
it's just like, and then as opposed to like an actor, like if I after like, just to pose an example, like a stand-up comic, you're like, okay, this is the scene. They do the scene, and they're like, all right, I it's kind of like, all right, I think I'm good with that, right? An actor, you're like, cut, and they'll ask the directors like, are you good with that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's kind of in a nutshell kind of explains the dynamic in my experience.
How have you been able to work around that with stand-up comics? How do you, like, how is the language different when you're trying to reach them?
You stupid little bitch. Do what I say.
That's how I talk to Fahim.
With Asif, you're like, you're so good. I appreciate it.
With Fahim, usually Fahim's kind of like, he has a very strong opinions about how he wants to perform it. And then I'll say, well, let's try it this way. He's like, all right, but, I kind of like the way I did it. It's kind of like him. I'm like, all right, but let's just do it this for the tape. Let me just get it in the can so that we
So
can see it.
funny
in
that
post.
you have to.
Well,
You're like, let's do the dance of I'll say this
Yeah,
thing to get
yeah,
you to do it. And
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
use that take.
Yeah.
But has that happened where he took the note well and
Yeah, I mean, they all
was-
eventually take the note, but it's just
Yeah.
different. It's a different process. Like with Asif, there was really not a lot of notes. Like I'd just be like, let's try it this way. He'd be like, all right, let's do it this way, and then he just would do it, nail it,
Yeah.
and be like, oh, great. And then with Hassan was always like, he always had this kind of humble nature of always open to being the student all the time. So he's like, okay, so tell me okay, I'll try it this way. Is that good for you? Like he was very like wanting to please a lot.
Yeah. And he was
Um,
like open to feedback and more notes.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff like
big
that.
time. There were certain aspects of things that he, like when it came down to like, he knows how to monologue really well. He came from, he was what do they call it? Is it forensics? Not forensics. It's debate. You know, he
He was on the debate team.
Yeah, he comes from that background.
He's a good storytelling guy.
He's a very good storytelling background. I tried the Moth first, and I remember thinking, like, I had all these kind of fantasies in my head. Like, I want to go there and tell my stories, and at the end of it, people are gonna laugh, and then people are gonna be like, "It's so good." And then like I would win and be like, I'm now a fucking storyteller, and then that never happened. And so I think I tried it twice, and I was like, all right, I think I placed like third or fourth both times. I was like, this is not gonna happen. And then I called Hassan because like even the homecoming story, he was just always like we in between takes of some of the Goatface sketches, he would talk about this. And I remember thinking and saying, like, this is something that should go in your stand-up. He's like, I just don't, how am I going to put it in there? And then when I did the Moth, it didn't work out. I was like, you got to do the Moth. You got to do this. And then he tried it, and then he just fucking,
it was,
he flew with it, and that ended up turning into a special. So
That's dope.
Yeah. Everything that every dollar all of them have ever made,
Came from you telling them what to do.
Basically, it's because of me. So and they know that.
So how has collaboration failed you then?
well, actually,
well, you have to. Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
this is collaboration not working. Go.
This is sort of related. Yeah, this is related to that. I was going to ask you because what you said made collaboration work was understanding everyone's strengths and sort of not delegating, but that role falling to that person. So what was that like? Was that a very like
take it this
natural process for you guys, or
let me pose an example.
Yeah.
So it's like if how can I say this? If you're driving a car that is not brand new and you know it's used and might have some problems, if you're not prepared to push it when it stops in the middle of the road, then that's a failure. So like in collaboration, you kind of have to know that you will hit brakes, you will hit the wall. You just knowing that going into it, it's kind of like a relationship. If you have this idea of going into a relationship that everything's going to be perfect and just it's going to always feel right, you're dead in the water, 100%. Because the moment that something happens, either she does something that is kind of like weirds you out, he does something that you're just like, oh, that's kind of an interesting point of view. I never thought you thought that way. And then that, so all of a sudden that ruins the feeling you have. Then it's done. But you have to kind of go into it knowing that everybody's human and that that you're going to run into these sometimes we're going to feel like an impasse. But knowing that, then you'll be like, okay, so let's navigate this collide and then kind of get around it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I thought that was a great analogy.
Yeah. So don't just when I say collaborate, just like don't collaborate thinking, oh, we're gonna get together and we have all these ideas. It's gonna be great. Know that you're gonna have some problems and just don't expect them, but be okay when they happen.
So clashes are part of the process.
Clashes are 100 exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I have another question. We had the podcast last year. We spent an hour together.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've also spent another hour together. What approaches would you use to direct us individually?
I love
if we
that.
were in it. How would you approach us?
Yeah.
I would say try doing a podcast literally holding hands.
What?
Try.
What?
Just try doing one podcast holding hands.
Oh, that's a lot. For a whole hour?
A lot of intimacy.
Well, I think
Physical intimacy.
I think
Physical touch is not my love language, by the way.
But
It's
I
not
think
my
what it'll
thing.
do is
Like-
is get you in tune with each other's like kind of not like rhythm and sensibilities. I think that helps a lot. Like I used to. And
Zora's sweating right now.
I'm like,
She's
I
having cold sweats.
take off my jacket.
People are touching. But
I don't do this. I never
I'm
do this
open
with
to
Goatface,
it.
but like in the past, like I was part of an improv group where one member, he would always like want to do like a huddle, and kind of like we would assure everybody that we were all confident in each other's abilities, and then I did that in my next improv group, and then I was going to do that with Goatface. That didn't work with Goatface.
Bunch of stand-ups,
Yeah,
bunch
yeah,
of
bunch-
bitter
yeah,
ass.
yeah, yeah.
Did you
dark
recommend
ass
it? Did you
stand-up.
suggest it?
Oh.
I had done it a few times. I remember like getting Fahim to come. I was like, I don't want to do this. this. It was like, come on. And I would say, like, you guys are all talented. I love working with you guys. It's like a moment, just to kind of touch brains for like a second.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it. You know, like, I don't know. And a lot of it's just kind of like just keep doing the thing you do together. I would say if there's anything, spend more. I don't know how much time you actually spend with each other outside of here. Not a lot.
It depends.
We used to spend a lot more time with each other in the beginning, but now it's like our individual careers are all like, priority and
try to make it a priority to connect more outside of work.
Yeah, it makes the work more enjoyable if we have some common ground. But also, it's like it's just knowing that it's a willingness to navigate that road together as a team. I think.
Sure.
A unit is sort of the concept there. Like everyone, I don't know.
Like, this feels like counseling. Are you giving us group therapy?
I'm not. But let me ask you this.
I cheated.
Have you thought about
I never
I've been
cheated.
doing other podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I've never cheated.
I didn't.
That's so funny. I cheated. I did another podcast. It was just it was a meaningless podcast.
I wasn't riffing as much, I swear.
Oh my God.
Did you riff on that podcast?
No,
Did you
I
riff?
would never.
What was the chemistry like? Were there sparks?
We held hands.
Oh my God! Get
Sure.
out! Get out!
Did that episode go longer than ours? How long did it go?
Yeah.
I think we have like 3 minutes
It was
left.
short.
So
It was a short episode.
we gotta.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
No, but I
So many more
Okay.
questions.
Oh, I thought that was an analogy for something else.
So
Anyways,
wait,
yeah.
you came
Yeah,
back.
a literal
So you
agreement.
came back a year later. What has
Yes.
changed in your life? We covered Silicon Valley.
Well, there's been ups and downs. Silicon Valley, I'm engaged now.
Oh, what?
Congratulations!
I just never really. I don't make it a. I'm not very public about my private life, but yeah. July. It's been long overdue, and
Wait, you're getting married in July?
no. I
So
got
He
engaged
did it in July.
engaged
So you
in
Yeah,
proposed in
proposed
July.
in July. It was in Chile.
How'd you propose? Oh,
Yeah, we went
That's
to
so
Chile.
exciting.
Yeah, it was a what do you call it? It was a full moon. It was a lunar eclipse, not lunar eclipse, solar eclipse in totality. We went to. We had done it once before when we were dating. We went to like an eclipse in totality where
yeah.
it's one of the most amazing things. I was like rolling my eyes about it until it happened. I was like, oh shit, this is pretty cool. And then the next one was like 2 years later in Chile, and I was like, I was like, I'm just gonna do it there.
That's
It happened, and then I proposed, and then it was kind of it was neat. It was interesting.
that
Oh,
one
that's
moment.
amazing.
Yeah, it's kinda crazy.
That's dope.
Did she
Yeah.
miss the eclipse?
No.
Did you do it after?
So
She's
it was
like, "You
it was
ruined
like, yes,
it."
it's like, she's
1,000 years till the next
How
one.
did you eclipse the eclipse?
It's hilarious. No, it was like right. It was right after the eclipse. No, I wasn't gonna ruin the eclipse for her.
So did you? Did she know it was coming?
I don't think so.
You caught her off guard.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys talked about marriage just in your relationship? Because that usually happens.
No, I
in-
sprung it.
You
Complete.
did?
No, we talked a little bit.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Talked about kids and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I knew I was gonna propose to her. I just didn't know like when I was gonna do it. And then I think she kind of caught wind of it when we went to New York. She went to New York for I think a work thing, and I went with her. And I was just gonna kind of while she was working, I was gonna disappear into the jewelry district, and I did that for like 3 days. And I was like wheeling and dealing, going back and forth with all these jewelers. And so I had to make up some bullshit story as to why I had to stay in New York.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, I got this work thing and Hassan." And I think I just like mumbled words and I threw it. Yeah. I was like, "It was work thing and I got to."
Hassan, make up a story. You're good at it.
I actually think I texted him. I was like, "Hey man, if she asks you, please say this." He's like, "All right."
It's like,
And
I
then-
love how when that happens, it's either like he's getting a ring or having an affair. It's like when my
Yes.
homeboy texts me.
It's one end of the spectrum or
it's
the
one
other. Yeah. Or hey, both. If I'm
Yeah.
a piece of shit. But yeah, and then I was there for another day or two, and I just finally landed on the ring, got that, and then I held on to that thing for like 3 months, 4 months.
Aw. And you hid it from her. That's
I hid
great.
it from her. I hid it, and
So
then I would
that's
always
the love
double
is
check.
built on secrets and lies.
What is?
So I said love.
Or
I would
proposals.
say
Your
our love is.
Yeah.
Our sense of it's nice.
Well,
Beautiful.
congratulations.
lasting
Thank you,
love.
thank
That's
you.
amazing.
So,
And then Silicon Valley, and then
oh, what was that?
nothing. Go ahead. Okay.
I was just gonna
did it with the
say
Silicon Valley
you
money?
Probably gotta.
Yes. No.
Good job.
This is before Silicon Valley.
Okay.
Yeah. thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me. I really I was gonna ask you guys a long time ago if I'd come back again. I want to see more of these shows. I want to see more of like.
Come do our show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Host our
We'd
show.
love to have you.
You mean like the stand-up show?
Yeah.
We have a
for
guy
sure.
host. It's a showcase of
Who
women.
is it?
Anyone.
Just
Is he
whoever.
brown?
Anyone,
You!
anyone of
Yeah, it's
you.
always a
It
brown
could be
Oh
person.
you.
really? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
Russell
love that.
Peters
pulling
has
the-
hosted our show before.
Yeah.
I don't know who
You
that
haven't heard of it? Okay, well.
You know that white guy?
Russell-
Canada?
Russell Peters.
Russell
that
Peters?
one.
So it
Yeah,
sounds
not
like-
the brown one. The white
What is
one.
his real name? What's
There's
his
a
real
different
name?
one.
That's his
That's
real
his real
name.
name.
Really?
I'm
Peter?
gonna
Yeah.
see if I can book you
It's like
right.
his family was
He's like
Christian.
a Anglo-Indian something. Yeah. He's like.
Interesting.
I know the darkest fucking South Indian dude, and his name is Mark Christian. So, like,
Oh really?
Yeah, because they have those pockets of people in India.
What are
That's
you
so
doing
funny.
on Easter?
man.
Do you want to host our show on Easter?
Easter
At
is,
West Side
is,
Comedy?
is
Okay, wait. Let's
I
book
might be
this
in New
off
York
the
for
mic
Easter.
because Paul is mad
No,
at
we're
us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
promoting.
April 12th?
Yo, Paul, I'm trying to book a spot, bro.
Parents' anniversary, April 12th.
April
And
12th.
David Letterman's birthday.
Oh, you have that kind of a memory, huh?
Well, it's just because my parents were always excited their anniversary.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
David
God.
Letterman's
I'll shoot you a
birthday.
message.
Aristotle,
Yes.
where can our listeners find you?
Oh God, on the internet for sure. I don't know. Instagram. I need to be better at this stuff.
What's your
What's your social
yeah?
media?
What's the
Social media.
Handle.
Twitter is my last name @Athiras,
Spell it.
but I'm never on it. I'm never on it.
That's fine.
And then Instagram is Aristotle, so like air, like AIR, air like as in Air Jordan,
Aristotle.
_ Stotle, and then if you Google my name, there's stuff there. And then my email is pretty much my name.
And what's your phone number and social security?
Oh, that's crazy.
I just need the last four of your
310.
social, actually.
Paul really hates you right now. Our sound engineer
But
hates you.
Paul really likes me.
Paul, do you have any more questions
Yeah, Paul.
for
Paul,
Do you have
Aristotle?
any-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
bye.
love you. Come to our show at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood.
Oh, it's our 50th show.
50th show, February 17th, 9:45 p.m. Come, please come to the show.
And it's in Hollywood, so this is going to be sort of far. We did our first show in Hollywood. Now, 50 shows later, we're back in Hollywood at the freaking Laugh Factory.
Yes, and if you want to be on our free guest list, please DM us, reach out to us.
Post a
We got
story.
guest lists.
Post a story, hit us up if you want to come, because you
If
can
you-
come for free. So
if you
hit us up.
want to be on our fucking podcast, if you want to call in, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/facial recognition comedy. Our website is facialrecognitioncomedy.com. Our Instagram and Facebook are facial recognition comedy, and our Twitter is facial rec comedy. I'm Paula Viganalin, PALLAVIGUNALAN.
I'm Zara Ali. It's really Zara on all the things. Zara is spelled Zahra.
And I'm Fizza Dasani. Good luck.